The gaming industry is, well, seems like it's dying. Sony and Xbox both have put their foots in their mouths and are just really trying to lose as many of their customers as humanly possible, it seems. These are the stories tonight on the Console Wars podcast. So to start off, it has been a while since we've done an episode of this show, the Console Wars podcast. And that is mostly because I have so much stuff on my plate that I've rarely found time to film this weekly. And so I have multiple movie reviews I'm working on. I have a film project I'm working on. I have multiple game reviews I'm working on. I have a new part-time job. I have several holidays coming up, a potential trip this year coming up. So, literally, I rarely have time to do this. I figured I will start doing this show whenever there's just so much stuff going on in the industry that I gotta say something, or if there's a big showcase like a State of Play, a Nintendo Direct, or like a big E3 type press conference where a bunch of stuff's announced, then I'll do an episode for that. But for the foreseeable future, probably not doing this every week. Also, the Xbox One S giveaway is still going on. Just because I haven't mentioned it recently, the contest is still going, and it's applicable for any video. In order to apply, you just need to direct contact me on Facebook or Twix, which is Twitter X, and say I'm interested in it. And in order to reduce the amount of competition you have to get it, you have to share any one of these videos, like and subscribe. The goal is, this is a giveaway until we hit 1,020 subscribers, and we are currently at 621 at time of this recording. It may drop or increase after this. And so, yeah, if you want to have as little competition as possible, do all that stuff so that we hit 1,020 subscribers as soon as possible. The longer you wait on helping me out with that, the more chance you have competing against other people. I will ship this to you on my own cost. You don't have to do anything but help me grow this channel. And so without further ado, let's talk about these two screw-ups called Sony and Microsoft. So, I'll start off with Sony, because the more recent of the two is Xbox. But Sony decided to do a couple of really dumb moves like they've been doing this generation. Let's be honest, most of their moves this generation have been by a, let's say, imbecile. And recently they decided to, one, apply censorship to a game after it had already been released, and two, force an account linking after already releasing a game that didn't require it. And there's been a lot of people online that have been trying to say, well, the people that are upset about this, they're just, like retards, or they're just, man babies that can't get any girlfriends. And so it's been absolutely ridiculous. There's, with the Stellar Blade censorship, a lot of people got upset that they went in with a patch and started censoring stuff that wasn't censored on the base launch of the disc version. And a lot of people were saying that, well, you're just being pig and sexist. And it's like, yeah, no. The thing is, there was a petition that was made to try and get the company to reverse the censorship. And the guy who did the petition, by the name of Grunts, I'm not going to say his real name because I don't want to dox him any more than psychopaths already have. He basically started a petition to try and get this reversed by contacting the companies like, hey guys, we're fans of your game, but we want you to reverse the censorship. And it's at over 80, I think it's at, I have the number right here, 83,637 signatures on the Free Stellar Blade petition. And Grunts or Grumz, I don't know how to pronounce his username properly. He was on a live stream talking about all he needed for this to be successful. He said, I just need it to be 100,000 signatures, and I'm going to send it physically to the developer in Korea. They tend to react more to a physical touch than a digital touch. And he even said on like Twix that he can do it with 80,000. And so, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I actually signed it, not because I need to see a little bit more cleavage. You know, I have no problem with the female body, and I'm not desperate to get a more non-censored version of this game. But I definitely signed it when I remembered that, yeah, Sony, made all of us have to watch a fugly Abby getting dry thrusted in the ass for, you know, who knows how long in Last of Us Part 2. And it's like, yeah, I really like having to be forced to watch that shit, but when you're showing a woman's bottom in an Asian game, oh, well, to the humanity. And so, like, I really strive to go out of my way to not be a hypocrite, and even I failed a few times, but I cannot stand it when people are just blatantly hypocritical. And so, yeah, I signed the Free Stellar Blade petition because it's like, you forced me to have to watch that dog shit, and yet you make it a big federal case if some woman's cleavage in an Asian game is a little bit more exposed than normal. Or, you know, I can see a woman's ass in an Asian game. It's like, have some fucking consistency, Sony, okay? Either choose one way or the other way. You can't do this both mix and match shit where, oh, our Western developers, you can have full-on pornography, but our Asian developers, you better not show any skin whatsoever. So, yeah, I'm all for the Free Stellar Blade group, and, yeah, I hope Sony gets what's coming to them with this, because they just keep shooting themselves in the foot with this, man. And this isn't the only thing that happened recently. You also have Helldivers 2, which basically, they release this game, it's a huge hit, and then Sony decides to come in and go, oh, now that you've been playing for 3 months, you have to have a Sony account to be linked with your PC if you're playing this. And, like, every PC gamer was like, fuck that shit, because, you know, Sony, if you're a PlayStation gamer, it makes perfect sense to, you know, have your account, because it's an online-only game from what I hear. I haven't played it because I'm not into multiplayer games. But all the PC gamers, when they heard that, oh yeah, after playing this for 3 months, you have to get a Sony account, it was like, no. And they started review bombing Helldivers 2, and after a few days, Sony went, yeah, so about that, we're reversing course, because we are getting way too much blowback on this. And so, yeah, we're reversing our decision. And, it's like, gee, maybe we should do this with a couple of the other things that the industry's been doing, because no one liked this. There was only a handful of people that were trying to, you know, like, mock people into doing it, and it's like, you're literally like 1% of the gaming ecosystem, because 99% was like, screw Sony, this is bullshit. If Sony had censored Stellar Blade before it was released, or had this requirement before Helldivers 2 released, I don't think a single person would have batted an eye. But the fact that they tried doing all this shit after release is what pissed people off. And so, I mean, Sony has been really screwing up this generation. There is so much they have done wrong that, honestly, I'm at the point I have no interest in getting a PlayStation 6 at all, because they have just been screwing the pooch over and over and over again. And anytime there's a good decision that happens, they follow it up with 10 bad ones. Okay? Yeah, it was great they got rid of Jim Ryan finally, but the 10 previous bad decisions he created weren't enough to redeem those bad decisions with the one firing of his. Like, you look at the acquisitions that Sony has been doing. They're supposedly getting ready to spend $26 billion for buying Paramount. Now, I understand Sony is not just a gaming company. Okay, they're also a movie entertainment company. And yeah, that is a good acquisition for them. But what they desperately need to acquire are game studios that make, wait for it, games. And not live service games. And all Sony was doing, anytime they bought a new game studio, it was, oh, this is for mobile gaming. It does not help you. Okay? It might help the overall company, but it does not help the PlayStation brand. And then they buy a new game studio. It's like, oh, we're buying this new game studio. They're going to do nothing but make live service games. It's like, this does not help you. Okay? I've already talked about live service games before. There's only a finite amount of live service gamers. They've already been obtained through other live service games. You have to either steal away a current player with one of those games, or that's it. There's no live service gamer like, gee, I want to play live service, but just there's nothing out there for me. It doesn't exist. Every live service gamer is already spoken for. Your only chance is to steal them away like they did with Helldivers 2. And even then, they were creating a unique experience that happened to be a live service game. A lot of these companies is like, live service game first, create the identity later. And it fails every single time. And thankfully Sony is rolling back on their live service plans, but it is not working for them. And I just like to point this out. I mentioned this on several Console World Podcast episodes ago, and I called it. I fucking called it. Right here. PlayStation Network data says Foam Star's future is bleak just 2 months after release. Released on February 6th and available day one through PlayStation Plus Essentials, Foam Stars has reportedly seen its players' number completely fall off a cliff over the last couple of months. As researched by this site and whatnot, the PlayStation 5 and PS4 shooter has now lost around 95% of its player count since launch. I fucking called it. I said that this was going to crash and burn like the Hindenburg, and it has crashed and burned like the Hindenburg because no one wanted this shit. By the way, the sunglasses are victory sunglasses because I called it. I called it. I told you so. I said this was going to crash and burn, and it crashed and burned. I mean, just looking at the trailer for Foam Stars, it was obvious that this was a blatant cash grab knockoff of Splatoon. And no one wanted it. It has barely 95% of its player count since launch. And so this is going to be a game that's going to be dead in like another month or two. And then, like, a lot of people, they're questioning, what's the point of a PlayStation 5 Pro upgrade? Okay? Look at the exclusives that PlayStation has made for the PS5. It's like between 11 and 15. That is it. And we're now halfway through the console generation, and you've only released that many true console exclusives, which by the way, most of them are re-releases, remasters, and remakes. So they're not even really true originals. They're just repackaging old games with a fresh coat of paint. This has been one of the most disappointing console generations in the history of gaming. Not just Sony, also on Xbox. I'll get to Xbox in a minute. But I mean, developers are asking, what's the point of working for a PS5 Pro? I mean, there's only like 3 years left on your life cycle. You said so. 3, maybe 4. There's barely any games out. And so it's like, I mean, we haven't even maxed out the potential of the PS5. It's just a blank cash grab that Sony's trying to do. And I don't think it's going to sell as well as the PS5. You want to know why? Because the only reason why the PS5 sold the numbers that it did is because of the PlayStation 4. An actual good system. Okay? The PlayStation 5 has been a disaster. And the only reason why it has 50 million units sold, if those are even real numbers, is because of the loyalty of PlayStation 4, because the PlayStation 4 was such a great system. It's probably my favorite system of all time that I've owned. And then it gets worse for Sony. They have allegedly paused all production on the PlayStation VR 2 because they haven't been able to sell the surplus stock that they have. And look, there's a channel that I watch all the time called PSVR Without Parole. Or I think they're just Without Parole now because they tried doing PSVR 2 without parole. Anyway, it's a fun channel. And I really like it. I like the guys that they have on it. But man, did they have a doozy the other night. They had a really bad hot take. I mean, just, this was so bad. They were even mocking people who had this opinion. And even, like, insinuating that they were retarded or something. And they were saying, like, anyone who says that PlayStation is giving up on the PSVR 2 is mentally challenged and a moron and, you know, don't like this. And, like, all three of them were in agreement. It's like, are you guys kidding me? Like, look, it's entirely possible that Sony has, like, a couple of projects in the works to release exclusive content for the PlayStation VR 2. It's entirely possible. But as it stands right now, May 9th, well, this is the time of recording this. I don't know when I'm going to get this up. Probably the following Sunday. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, for anyone watching. At the time of this recording, May 9th, Sony has abandoned the PlayStation VR 2. It is so obvious. The last exclusive this console had, that I know of, was the Resident Evil 4 exclusive that came out last year. Okay, in December. There's been nothing this year. There's nothing planned for this year. There is nothing planned for next year. Sony is given up on this. The only thing carrying the PlayStation VR 2 has been third-party developers. And guess what? None of them are releasing stuff exclusively on the PlayStation VR system. Okay? Everything coming out to PlayStation VR 2 right now is also coming out on the Meta Quest 3. And guess what? In order to stop playing on PlayStation VR 2, you need to spend $550 on a headset, and you need to spend $550 on the console. So for $1,100, you need to dole out to be able to get into PlayStation VR 2 to play games that are available on a system, the Meta Quest 3, that's only $500. You don't need a computer to be able to use the Meta Quest 3. It helps. It will help enhance stuff, but you don't need it. And the Meta Quest 3 has all kinds of exclusives that the PlayStation would dream to get. So, gee, which is the better deal? $1,100 and no exclusives? Or $500 and a shit ton of exclusives? I'm sorry, the PlayStation VR 2 is dead as I speak. Now, Sony might do a state of play or a showcase and reveal, hey, look, we got 3 exclusives only for the PlayStation VR 2 coming. I hope they do that. But honestly, with the way they've been running this business for the past 3 years, I don't expect that anytime soon. And hey, I like the PlayStation VR 2. I think it's a cool headset. But you know what? It is getting its ass kicked by the Meta Quest 3. And Sony is not supporting it right now. So the fact that these 3 guys, which I enjoy watching them, I would recommend you check out their channel, because not everyone's right. Okay? They just had a really bad hot take. But then let us move on to Xbox, who they just decided to royally screw the pooch. It's like, hey, we're starting to do better. I think I'll chop off my foot. I mean, that's literally what Xbox did. So, one, like, they're saying, we're going to start releasing everything onto PlayStation 5. It's like, why you make a console then? If you're going to release everything on PlayStation 5? Like, I had spoken previously that, yeah, releasing the first Gears of War or the first Halo on PlayStation 5 would be a smart move, because you can entice PlayStation gamers to come over to the Xbox ecosystem in addition to PlayStation. It's like, hey, look, first Halo was a lot of fun. I want to play the other 4. I'll get myself an Xbox. But no, they're just talking about releasing everything on PS5, so that's stupid. And then they start saying that, like, Hellblade 2 is probably not going to be as profitable as they were hoping because of the length and because it's digital only. Gee, maybe you should release it physically! Like, when they announced that it was going to be digital only, it's like, okay, I'm not buying it day one. I don't pay full price for a launch game digitally. Okay? The only exception is maybe VR games, simply because VR games are never released physically. So if it's something I'm super excited for, then I'll do it. But no, it's like Hellblade 2, I can wait till it gets a discount on the marketplace. If it's going to be digital only, I can wait. Because honestly, I don't like this all digital future we're going towards, and it is coming. Okay, it can't be avoided. But I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. And so now they're expecting it not to sell as well. It's like, that's one of your exclusives coming out this year. You should be expecting gangbusters, but it's like, no, we kind of made some bad decisions with it, and now we're not expecting that much. And so they also, like, announced that they probably aren't going to release all the Call of Duty games on Game Pass now, because it might hurt the sales of the games, which they now have to rely on. And it's like, you guys kind of promised that, and they're kind of going like, yeah, Game Pass isn't making us as much money as we were previously saying. It's like, okay, maybe drop the price on Game Pass. Which I know you're probably thinking, whoa, if they're not making enough money on Game Pass, why would they drop the price? Well, I'll tell you, because the more expensive stuff gets, the less desirable it becomes for people. Alright? Would you rather have 2 people paying $50 a month for something? Or would you rather have 20 people paying $5 a month? Okay, for that $100. Which is it? Because, you know, yeah, you'll be making less money from each individual, but you'll have more people buying. So they're talking about raising prices on Game Pass. No. You gotta get those numbers down. Okay? Drop the price of Game Pass from like $15 to $10. Watch your purchases of Game Pass skyrocket. Watch another 20 million people buy Game Pass. Okay? But no, there's this dumb logic in business where it's like, if we're losing money, we should raise prices. It's like, no, if you're losing money, lower prices. You'll get more people then. And in the end, wouldn't you rather have a person consistently paying $10 for 5 years than someone who will pay $15 once to play one game and then they stop? Do the logical math on that, okay? They're saying that Game Pass subs aren't growing, Same with PlayStation. And, there was this one tweet right here that I think kind of says it perfectly. Shout out to Get to Sammy B. Weird username, but hey, he makes a good point here. There's too much content and not enough time. That is one of the most truest statements of this gaming century. I really enjoy Genshin Impact and Hanukkah Star Rail. If I wanted to keep up with both fully, it'd probably require me to drop all other games I play. But I also like Fortnite, and Sendless Zone Zero is coming out. So it's fantastic I get Dave the Driver on PS Plus right now. I want to play it, but when am I supposed to find time? Along with all the other things I need to do in the day. He is 100% correct. That's one of the reasons why I'm not going nuts buying games anymore, because my collection's big enough. I don't have enough time to play them nonstop, and so it's like, why bother? I got so many things I gotta do. Get to Sammy B is absolutely right, and this leads to the big thing that happened this last week. Xbox, like I said earlier, they were starting to do okay, and they looked at their right foot. It's like, you know what? I don't need that anymore. I'm going to chop it off. And they shut down 4 of their studios. Now, 3 of the studios, I can kind of understand, because when you're doing a merger acquisition, it's like, okay, we're going to have some redundancies. We might as well get rid of some of those. So you had a mobile game studio. Pretty sure Xbox already had a mobile game studio. And so the one they shut down that was running Mighty Doom, it's like, look, we already have a mobile game studio. We don't need another one. We might as well shut this down. So I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying I understand it. Trying to be objective here. And then the other studio, it was like Hammerhead Studio or something like that. I forget what it was called. They got consolidated with the studio operating Elder Scrolls Online. So with that, it's like, okay, that I also understand. It sucks, but I can mentally see it. And then you even have Arcane Austin. Alright, they got shut down. And it sucks with them, but at the same time, Xbox was probably looking at it as like, look, we have Arcane Leon, and we have Arcane Austin. Do we really need 2 Arcanes? We can just combine the essential members from the 2 into one, and, we'll cut back on the redundancies there. It sucks. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying I kind of understand it. But then you come to find out that the offline update for Redfall, which would have greatly improved its numbers, its player base, was planned to release later this month. And it's not going to now, because Microsoft just killed Arcane Austin. Alright? And it's like, that would have helped your Redfall players. It would have gotten a lot of offline-only players like, okay, I'll try Redfall, and they stop playing Redfall, and word of mouth's like, hey, I'm actually having fun with Redfall now that it's been updated, and you would have seen some people like, okay, I'll give it a try again. That would have been a nice little boost to the numbers. I would have gotten Redfall if it got offline mode. But no, Microsoft decided to chop off the right foot. It's like, I don't need that anymore. And so they got rid of Arcane Austin. And look, I understand Redfall was a bomb. But they had some very beloved games in their, pedigree, their lineup. And, maybe Arcane Leon will handle it now. I'm assuming Arcane Leon will probably get more members so that they can operate like 2 game developments at once. Because right now they're working on the Blade video game. Hopefully that doesn't get tainted by Sweet Baby Inc. because, I was excited for Wolverine and then I found out that Sweet Baby Inc.'s writing for them. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm not interested. I have no interest in buying anything by Sweet Baby Inc. ever again. Unless they drastically change, which I don't think they're going to drastically change. And then we get to the one that really, really, really stings. The one that just hurts like a motherfucker. They shut down Tango Gameworks. And, that absolutely sucks. And it makes no sense. Because Tango Gameworks released probably their biggest game of last year, Hi-Fi Rush. I would say Hi-Fi Rush was a bigger success than Starfield. Yeah, it probably didn't have the sales numbers as Starfield, but in terms of critical and audience score, it did better than Starfield. It got all kinds of awards. They said, yeah, it actually helped uptick Game Pass for us. We actually saw good sales numbers for Hi-Fi Rush. So, there's only one logical thing to do. Shut the studio down. Like, seriously, the only thing I can figure that would make sense is they probably went to Tango Gameworks and said, hey guys, your next game, we want you to use Sweet Baby Inc. as writers for your next game. Tango said, no, we don't need them. We have our own writers. And Xbox like, if you don't do it, there will be consequences. Tango said no, and then Xbox like, fine, we're shutting you down. There's no evidence proving that, but that is the only logical thing I can think of. Because this was a studio that had no bombs, okay? It made The Evil Within, and then it had The Evil Within 2. This is one of the rare few games I have reviewed that I actually gave a perfect 11 out of 11. Okay, I don't do that very often. I'm not IGN or GameSpot, where I just throw them out left and right because a company scratched my back properly enough, or it had the right kind of messaging in the game. I mean, like, look, I have Deathloop. I plan on playing it, but it's absolute dog shit that everyone gave that game a perfect review, while at the same time complaining that it's one of the buggiest games they ever played, and their game systems hard crashed numerous times while playing it. And yet they still gave it a perfect review. So, like, my channel, I actually give perfect reviews to stuff that I feel deserves it. I don't just give it to companies I like because they scratch my back properly, or, you know, because I just like their messaging best. Evil Within 2 was a phenomenal game. I was actually looking forward to a third chapter if they ever did one. And look, Hi-Fi Rush was not my cup of tea, okay? I tried it, it's like, not my style, but I could see that it was an excellent game. I could appreciate it for what it was worth, even though I didn't like it. And Xbox, they said, hey, we want to get a foothold in the Asian market, in the Japanese market. We have only one studio in the Japanese market. So the only logical thing would be to shut it down. Like, seriously, it got so bad. Let me see if I can find this. This was freaking hilarious, actually. Yeah. So many people got pissed off over these closures that someone found Phil Spencer's settlement in Fallout 76 and dropped a nuke on it. I shit you not. Okay, like, that is how pissed off people are. Someone wanted to symbolically drop a nuke on Phil Spencer. Okay? Like, seriously. I'm seeing no one, not one person saying, oh, it's a good thing that this happened. I was seeing people say it was a good thing that, like, Cello Blade got censored. It was a handful, but I still saw, like, 10 people say it was a good thing. And I saw, like, 10 people say it was a good thing that Sony was doing account linking with Helldivers 2. I've not seen one soul say this is a good thing that this happened, that these 4 studios got shut down. Okay? People are pissed. I'm pissed because Tango Gameworks was one of the few studios where I would blindly try whatever they did next. I blindly tried Hi-Fi Rush, even though I didn't think it looked that good, to my personal preference. And I tried it, and I wasn't nuts about it, but I still tried it, and I still appreciate what it was. And that's how I was feeling with the next Tango Gameworks. I was just going to blindly try it, because their last 4 games, superb. Okay, Ghostwire Tokyo. It's not a perfect game, but I played a couple hours of it, was having a blast. And I'm not even into, like, the whole Japanese culture. And I was having a blast with it. And so it's just like, this was so stupid. It was so monolithically stupid. And then, oh, here's the cherry on top. The same day they closed those 4 studios, Microsoft decides to drop a new controller you can buy, and they have the tagline, "Feel the burn," for their new Fire controller. It's like, yeah, someone got fired over that. Like, hey, we're going to kill these 4 studios, 2 of which are very beloved, and then we're going to tell people, hey, feel the burn, bitches. Like, seriously, someone's getting fired over that PR decision right there. But, I mean, gosh, this is so infuriating. It's like, I right now hate both Sony and Microsoft. Like, right now, I'm not interested in a next generation, Like, deliver on this one, actually make the PS5 and Series X feel like they're worth it. Because right now, the 13 exclusives on PlayStation, or 15, or whatever it is, and then, like, the 20 exclusives on Microsoft's end, it's not worth it, okay? I still don't feel like I've recouped my money off those 2 consoles. So, why the hell would I get a PlayStation 6 or an Xbox 720 Hug Kiss, whatever, Quantum, whatever the fuck the name's going to be, because it's not going to be anything logical, okay? I mean, why would I get one of those? Like, I've heard someone say, hey, everyone should just get PC. You know what? That's probably not a bad idea at this point, because these 2 companies are screwing the pooch, okay? I'm going to leave it on this little meme right here, because this is how I feel right now.
That lately, some of you have been a little out of sorts. Erratic, unreliable, downright sloppy. Not you, Noir. You've been great. But the rest of you...
Anyway, so that's been the latest episode of the Console Wars podcast. What do you guys think about this week's episode? Do you guys have any additional facts you want to throw in? Say off in the comments down below. My name's Christopher Kyle with 11 Hour Views, and that will be all, unfortunately, for now.